In Unit 5, we're going to cover the title ad valorem tax extensively, and I also want to give you a real quick, brief review of how to file your monthly tax returns. The title ad valorem tax, or TAVT, is paid every time a vehicle ownership is transferred or a new resident registers the vehicle in Georgia for the first time. The current title ad valorem tax rate is 7% of the fair market value of the vehicle. The dealer collects TAVT at the time of the sale, and you're going to transfer that to the customer's home county using that electronic title registration that I'm sure you've been using for a long time. The county where the TAVT is paid is where the owner claims a homestead or a homestead exemption, or it's the county of domicile if it's used by a business. So always please keep that in mind. It's going to be where the customer lives or the county of domicile, or if it's used by a business, it's used where the business is actually located. The dealer must accept the title application and the title ad valorem tax payment at the time of the retail sale, and must submit the title application and the payment to the correct county tag office electronically through your electronic title registration software. There are going to be some exemptions to the TAVT that I want you to go over with, such as vehicles that are sold to a customer to be used as a driver educational motor vehicle. Driver educational vehicles are declared to be public property used exclusively for public purposes and are exempted from any and all ad valorem taxes. All motor vehicles sold to and owned by a school or educational institution and used principally for the purpose of transporting persons with disabilities or disabled students to and from some schools or educational institutions are exempted from any and all ad valorem taxes imposed by any tax jurisdiction in the state of Georgia. Vans and buses you sell that are owned by religious groups such as nonprofits would be exempt. Every motor vehicle owned in this state by a natural person is subject to ad valorem taxation by the various tax districts that are authorized to impose those ad valorem taxes. However, under no circumstances shall such ad valorem taxation be collected more than one time per calendar year with respect to the same vehicle. Also, vehicles owned by the dealer. So motor vehicles which are owned by you, when you have a dealer's license that are held for resale, are considered a separate classification of tangible property for ad valorem taxation purposes. Ad valorem taxes imposed on motor vehicles do not apply to motor vehicles that are owned by the dealer. Motor vehicles owned by a dealer shall not be taxed, and no taxes will be collected on those motor vehicles unless you do register them, say for example as a personal vehicle. Other exemptions: title ad valorem tax is not charged when you sell a vehicle to a disabled veteran who is a citizen and resident of the state of Georgia. They're exempt from all ad valorem taxes. In the event of the death of the disabled veteran who received the ad valorem tax exemption, his or her unmarried, surviving spouse, or minor child may continue to receive that title ad valorem tax exemption. If you sell a vehicle to a former prisoner of war who's a citizen and a resident of Georgia and who attaches or presents a true copy of their Department of Defense Form 214 or a Military 201 file or similar sufficient proof of his or her former prisoner of war status, is also exempt from all ad valorem taxes. If you sell or lease a vehicle to a veteran of the Armed Forces of the United States who has been awarded the Purple Heart and who is a citizen of Georgia, they are all actually exempt from all ad valorem taxes as well. If you sell a vehicle or lease a vehicle to a Medal of Honor recipient and they reside in the state, they also are exempt from all ad valorem taxes. Veterans organizations that you sell motor vehicles to, and a veterans organization means any organization or association chartered by the Congress of the United States, which is actually exempt from federal income taxes, are also exempt from Georgia's title ad valorem tax. Others that are exempt from the title ad valorem tax are going to be first responders. Public safety first responders are allowed a TAVT exemption with a maximum of $50,000 of fair market value combined for all vehicles that he or she may register during any 3-year period. Some required documentation would be what's called their MV PSFR-TAVT Public Safety First Responder documentation, so do please keep that in mind, or any letter from a Department of Administrative Services for any individual or spouse that's receiving payments for the death or disability of any first responder. That's going to apply to law enforcement officers, firefighters, publicly employed emergency medical technicians, or surviving spouses of such first responders. So they can actually apply for those title ad valorem tax exemptions if their spouse incurred injury or death in the line of duty. Let's talk about heavy equipment and some of the vehicles that are in a dealer inventory. Heavy duty equipment means any motor vehicle used primarily for off-road or construction purposes, and includes equipment that gross weight vehicle exceeds 16,000 pounds, but does not include equipment inventoried by licensed heavy-duty equipment dealers. Except as exempted by law, heavy-duty equipment used for construction purposes, which is owned by a non-resident and operated in the state of any year, shall be subject to the title ad valorem tax. If the nature of your business is primarily the sale of heavy-duty equipment motor vehicles, the rental of heavy-duty equipment motor vehicles by the dealers to a customer shall not be deemed to have been removed from the dealer's inventory. Farm equipment. First of all, farm equipment means any equipment which is self-propelled and which is designated and used primarily for agriculture or horticulture or forestry or livestock raising operations. That's considered farm equipment. Any self-propelled farm equipment which is owned by your dealership and held in inventory for sale or resale is not taxed, and no taxes shall be collected on farm equipment until it is transferred, and then otherwise, if at all, becomes subject to taxation. Same goes true if you are an aircraft dealer. You don't pay ad valorem on your aircraft inventory. Watercraft and all-terrain vehicles owned by a dealer and held in inventory for sale or resale are not to be taxed, and no taxes are going to be collected on such watercraft or all-terrain vehicles until they're transferred out of the dealer inventory or basically sold to a customer. I want to remind you that the retail selling price that is used to calculate any sales tax must include any charges for labor, freight, delivery, dealer fees, or similar charges or tangible accessories such as parts or dealer add-ons or dealer fees or dealer markups must be included in your sales tax calculation. Please remember that. That's very important. The sales tax calculation does not include any extended warranties you're selling or service contracts, maintenance agreements, federal excise tax, any finance, insurance, or interest charges, or similar products that you have deferred payments. And remember, you're never going to charge any type of title ad valorem on any government fees, such as a license plate fee or a registration fee as well. Please do remember that. I want to give you a real quick overview of how you can really compute your title ad valorem tax before you actually boot up your ETR. I'm sure you've been using ETR enough to realize it's booted up automatically, but I'm sure you're also aware that many of our customers want to know how much a vehicle is going to cost out the door before we actually boot that up in our electronic title registration software to figure out the exact tax that's going to be computed. So let's do a quick computation here. As you can see on the screen, let's say you sell a $5,000 vehicle. A little simple math will easily allow you to give that TAVT estimate to the customer. So let's say we sold a $5,000 vehicle. We're going to take $5,000 times the TAVT tax rate of 7%, which would be $350. You'll add that $350 to the sales price of $5,000, which the customer is going to actually pay around $5,350. And obviously that's going to be computed exactly when you boot up the deal in your electronic title registration. Now let's make it a little more complicated and throw in a trade-in. I'm sure you're aware by now, but I want to give you that reminder. When someone trades a motor vehicle in, when purchasing a vehicle from a licensed motor vehicle dealer in the state of Georgia, they're going to get their they're going to get their trade-in allowance, okay? So let's make this deal real simple, okay? Let's say we sold a $5,000 vehicle and we took a $2,000 trade-in. So we're going to take that $5,000 minus the $2,000 trade-in will equal a taxable value of $3,000. Now we're going to take that taxable value of $3,000, multiply it by your 7% TAVT. That would be $210. So we're going to add that $210 to the $3,000 taxable value. So that customer is going to pay about $3,210 out the door. So there's a little scenario for you. Now I want to make it a little bit more complicated. Let's go ahead and throw in a dealer fee there. And by the way, I want you to be aware the state does not regulate dealer fees, but if you are charging a dealer fee, then you want to set one dealer fee and charge that identical dealer fee to absolutely every retail customer. You never want to change it. You never want to waive it. I've read cases where we'll have a dealer charge one customer a dealer fee, they'll charge the next customer a dealer fee, and then the third customer says they're not going to pay that dealer fee, so the dealer had waived that fee. Well, if you think about that scenario, the previous customers in that scenario were charged additional fees, so they have legal recourse against the dealer. They sue the dealer and win every single case. So what I'm getting at here, if you are going to charge a dealer fee, you want to set one exact amount of your dealer fee and charge that exact same dealer fee to every single customer, every single retail customer that comes into your office. Now, if you are a dealer fee charging dealer and you got a customer that says, hey, I ain't paying no dealer fee, well, yes, they are. They're going to pay that fee, but you can actually lower the price of the vehicle to where it equals the same and still include that dealer fee. So let's do a scenario here. Let's say we sold a $5,000 vehicle and we charge a $200 dealer fee. So we're going to take $5,000 plus the dealer fee. So the total taxable value is going to be $5,200. And then we're going to multiply that by the 7% title and Valorem tax rate, which would equal $364. And on that scenario, the customer is going to pay about $55.64 out the door. So keep that in mind. You're going to also not just add dealer fees, you're going to add, any parts that you're adding on and things like that, as I discussed just a moment ago. Make sure and include those in the taxable value that you're multiplying the TAVT by, okay? And once again, there's a copy of your sales tax license form or your ST-2 form. I want to be sure that you're very aware that you are required under state law to display your sales tax license in your office. And I want to give you a reminder, the state requires you to display your dealer's license, your local business or occupational license, your sales tax license, that's your ST-2 form, and your dealer surety bond. You've got to display that. So display all four of those documents. Be sure you're displaying all four of these documents in your dealership office at all times. This is a state law. And if you ever got a Secretary of State investigator stop in, the very first thing he or she will ask you are where your displayed documents are. They don't want to see you pulling your dealer's license and your sales tax license out of some vault or a desk drawer. They need to be displayed prominently on your office wall. That is a state law that I want to make sure that you are very aware of. Now, not only are you going to display your ST-2 in your office, you do have to include a copy of your ST-2, that's your sales tax license, with your dealer license renewal. So don't forget to have a copy of that on your computer so you're easily going to be able to upload that when you're renewing your license. Remember, you're renewing your license between July 1st and September 30th. That's that renewal period. So have all your documentation ready to go. And I want to give you a quick reminder. I think you've probably already been doing this, but I want to let you know that you must file your sales tax returns before the 20th of the month following the month that you collected that sales tax. So always make sure, if you're showing the state all the sales tax that you've collected in the month of July, make sure you submit that return before August 20th. If you're doing your August sales tax return to show all the sales tax you've collected in the month of August, those reports have to be done before September 20th. I'm always going to recommend that you do your sales tax returns on the first day of every month. If you haven't done this, I recommend giving yourself a Google Calendar reminder that maybe shoots you a text or an email on the first day of every month to remind you to do your sales tax returns, which are going to be due. So dealers are required to file that sales and use tax return, and I want you to be very, very aware. You're required to do this whether or not you have had no sales tax report or not. So even if you had a slow month and you didn't collect any sales tax, I'm going to go ahead and encourage you to go ahead and do that sales tax return every single month, even if you have not had any sales. So let me give you a quick reminder of that. You could possibly be using some software to do this, but I want to give you a quick reminder of how to do that sales tax return if you are not using any outside software. So obviously you can go to the Georgia Tax Center website, and your user information should be in there. Remember, you had to register if you, when you initially got your license, you registered through here to order your dealer plate. So you should already be registered in there, and your username and password should pop up automatically. And whenever you need to do a return, just click File a Return. You're going to select the previous month that just ended and make sure you've got your county in there. Not the county where you live. This is the county where your dealer's license is located. So make sure that you select your county of your dealership. And always remember, the sales tax we've collected is called exempt because we collected that title ad valorem tax at the time of the retail sale. And when we ordered the customer's title, remember, we transferred that tax electronically using our electronic title registration. So always remember, the sales tax that we collect is known as exempt. So you'll enter the amount of sales tax you collected for that month in the total sales tax box, and then you're going to enter the exact same amount in the exempt box because you've already paid that. And if you had a month where you didn't sell any vehicles, then obviously you're just going to see some zeros there, and you're going to click that submit button, and then you're going to get your confirmation receipt. Make sure that you print up your confirmation receipt, and this is going to be proof that you have filed your sales tax returns on every single month. So I do want you to be aware of that. Dealers are required to file that use tax report by the 20th of every month. I want you to be very clear. If for some reason you're forgetting to do your sales tax returns, you can either get your sales tax license suspended, or if you are a perennial non-filer, the state will actually revoke your sales tax license, and you cannot have a dealer's license without a sales tax license. So if for some reason you've ever gotten behind on your sales tax returns, get those caught up or stay in contact with the Department of Revenue and let them know why you haven't been filing, which there's not really any excuse for not filing. Just remember that could lead to the loss of your dealer's license. Filing your monthly sales tax returns is part of the gig. We've posted a really great video that was created by the Department of Revenue that covers how to file sales tax returns extensively on the GeorgiaDealer.com website. You can just go to GeorgiaDealer.com, click on any page, and scroll down to the bottom, click on the Dealer Forms page, and then you'll be able to review that really great Department of Revenue produced sales tax video. Really goes in depth to show you exactly all your questions should be answered on that video. It shows you exactly how to file your reports. Here's some great contact information. If you have any questions regarding the collection of sales tax or your title ad valorem tax, you can call 877-423-6711. And I want you to be aware, I have called technical support phone numbers to just about every state agency, and many state agencies I'll call and I might wait on hold for 15, 20, even 30 minutes sometimes. But when you have sales tax collection questions, you call this number, 877-423-6711, and I bet you they're going to answer on the very first ring because that is revenue for the state, and they keep that line staffed very well. Very professional service for you there. If you have any questions, give them a call, and I guarantee you they will have answers for you.